17th. So,
Yeah.
so I
Lots of
won't,
moving parts.
lots of moving parts, so I won't be able to make this month.
That's okay.
But
I'll probably catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your name again?
I'm Dave.
Dave. Claire.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hi,
How's it
Dave.
going?
I'm
Hey,
Claire.
thank you,
Nice to meet
everybody. Oh, yeah, solid. Quick. You can finish. Feel free to finish if you're exchanging information. Please do. We're in no rush. How's everybody feeling? Thank you for being here. Sorry for the classroom vibes. We can change this up a little bit. Move the chairs if we want to and such. Thank you for coming to the new iteration of Career Launchpad. Basically, we are here to help job seekers or career professionals or even organizations and companies that are hiring find each other and connect.
I was accepting my LinkedIn request. I am paying attention.
And I hope that everyone can please connect on LinkedIn. And even if it doesn't seem like there's a direct maybe help or support, every connection expands your kind of lead on LinkedIn, increases your visibility. So if everyone enjoys each other's company, please connect on LinkedIn after this. If anything, you can even share other career meetups that come up, because I hope that we can also keep sharing some resources. If you haven't heard, there's a place, one called, what is it?
Bash.
Yeah? Everyone heard about that?
Digital jobs.
So sign up for Austin Digital Jobs as well, and then host this event there. So we get a bunch more people coming. I am one of the executive coaches at Let's Eat Grandma, and I've been partnering with that organization now for a few years. I have a podcast with them, if you want to hear my voice more. And I think they're pretty decent content, at least, other than just the voice. They are one of the best resume writing services. How many people here have heard of Let's Eat Grandma? Okay, some, not all. So if you're looking for a resume, LinkedIn update, and to throw in an executive or career coach with that package, they can help. And by being here today, you also are going to get a free resume review and critique, as well as a discount code. So this lovely gentleman over here with this amazing beard, he might be watching us right now, so everybody wave. This is Chris Villanueva, and he is the host of the Career Warrior podcast, and I highly recommend too if you're on the job hunt or interested in new information around the career, please subscribe to his podcast as well. And if you enjoy it, leave a review because it really helps. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, this is a very engaging and interactive environment. So.
The name Let's Eat Grandma?
Let's eat Grandma.
Right. Where did that come from?
Chris, can you talk to us? I don't actually know the origin story, but I do know that it can be let's eat grandma.
Right.
That grandma is very important.
Yeah, it is.
So very much just highlighting the fact that commas, and their commas can make all the difference. And they pay the level of attention and detail for your resume to make sure that you get the attention that your resume deserves.
So you don't accidentally represent yourself as a cannibal.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue on. So we are a kind of almost monthly launch meetup, and we are taking next month off because I'm going to be in the Balkans. So if anyone wants to go to the Balkans, you can meet me there. And then we'll have basically events almost every month other than November because of the holidays. And really, we're here to just connect with people that we don't know, and maybe that we do know, to learn something new, and then hopefully to grow in our careers. And I merge the fields of career and executive leader coaching, so if you have questions about how to excel in your job, if you're unhappy at your job, or just looking for a new job, this is the place for you. And I hope you can get that kind of diverse pool of people that we can all end up supporting each other, because the more people that are lifting each other up, the easier this process is going to be for everyone. Feel free to shout out questions if you have them. I am your host, Dr. Benjamin Ritter. Please call me Ben. I am the author of the book Becoming Fearless, which we have a couple copies that we'll be raffling off today, as well as a senior talent management consultant. So not only do I help people get jobs, but I help companies hire people for jobs and help them get assessed to see if they should get promoted for those jobs too. So I have a very unique perspective in terms of what actually will get the attention of someone that is hiring, and how to excel within those interviews, and to land that position, and then to excel in that position. Who else? Is anyone else here hiring? No? Okay, so Christine?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
so if you have some hiring questions, by the way, too, we can work off each other
Cool.
today. Awesome. Okay, so everyone has a raffle ticket? Sweet, wonderful. Okay, so today, I don't think I have to go over the rules. Seems like they're all focused, you're all respecting each other, and you're all going to be engaged. But really, I don't want this to be like a classroom. We have a very, very, very short presentation to go over some top tips. Most of the value today is going to be in the Ask Me Anything, Ask Me Career Executive Coach, literally anything. I've worked with over 500 people so far. I'm currently working with about 20. I've worked with organizations all over the world, and people are hiring. And there's certain strategies that work and certain strategies that don't. How many people here are looking for a job? Okay, maybe, sort of. And people that didn't raise their hand, what brings them to meet up today?
To get more jobs.
To get more jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, why not? Yeah,
You never know what happens in DC.
true, true.
That we start hearing the people living there, they bring Voltron, something goes into their heads, and boom, there's no job tomorrow.
Yep, very true. Yeah. You never know.
No job.
Now we'll employment.
Just explore maybe how to hire, or just around that realm. I'm currently in a startup here in Brazos Street, so yeah.
Cool. So how to hire, right? Someone that's hiring behind you too. What can you talk about this? Awesome. Okay, so what to expect today? We have a quick presentation. I'm going to talk about the job market, give a couple insights. I'm going to share my most favorite tips. And then we're going to have a really Ask Me Anything. This is your chance to figure out whatever is holding you back in your career and your job hunt. This is a chance for us to support each other and to get some kind of like modern advice. And then we have a chance for all of you to come up, or at least a couple for you to come up and share a little bit about yourself and to ask the room for help, but also to give that level of support. And then we'll have another networking opportunity and then close on out. And then if you want to hang out and meet some more people, you can too. Okay. Ready to talk about the job market? Sure? Maybe? Okay. Interactive. So if something comes to mind, you have a question, feel free. You don't have to wait. This is a meetup, right? It's not a workshop. It is not Launchpad 101. We're not getting certifications after this. We are hopefully just learning something new and meeting something. Okay. How many people would agree that the market is tough right now?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it feels different. What feels different about this market?
Number of applicants. Yeah.
Number of applicants,
Getting through to talk to somebody.
getting even a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah?
The number of AI companies are coming up, maybe just last month we had Southwest, all the Finland and Koreans are here, and they're all promoting the companies in Boston, so we have much more opportunities now, especially in my field.
Okay, so more opportunities in certain industries. So AI.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
We can have all the
Yeah, if like someone just like launch or like incorporate an AI certification company and give us all these certifications, okay? We'll put them on our LinkedIn profile. We'll use ChatGPT. No, just kidding.
I'd say the communication in general is not as good as it used to be. A lot more ghosting with regards to job applications. Even once you've communicated with someone, you might not hear from them again after that initial contact.
Yeah. It feels like people aren't almost, or just respecting the seeker, the job seeker. Okay.
I feel like if you put a resume like just on a company website alone, like it's like a black hole. I feel like the interviews that I've gotten, I had to reach out directly to, just get the chance to have my resume looked at, just because there's so many applicants just with the, layoffs that's been going on throughout the recent months.
Yeah.
Applicant tracking systems that are literally stupid because they cannot tell equivalencies, and I spend too much time changing things like maintain to maintaining or just removing the word altogether, because the AI cannot see that I have the qualification.
Mm-hmm.
It just infuriates me to have to prove that I'm good enough to a robot.
Yeah, and I wanna talk, someone please ask the question about ATS systems and the AMA, because I wanna talk a little bit about what the scanners are actually doing and how to potentially stand out, and kind of really just how to think about the process too, because I think some of us are like operating with, I think, some myths that are making us really angry and frustrated, and almost want us to give up on the search, and if we give up on the search, we're never gonna get a job. You can come on in if you want. Okay.
He's a founder.
I always wonder, if the job even is still available,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if
I mean-
it's even real. You know,
Well, is it real and is it available are two different things. Is it real, like are you sourcing applications? Is it, you hiring an internal candidate? Are you actively sourcing on your own? Is this just something up because investors wanna know that you're hiring and that you
Yeah.
look good, so you don't have, yes, but, and then also, is it active? Like,
Yeah.
if they already have 1,000 applicants, they're probably not looking at the resumes that are coming in.
The other thing I noticed that I'd say about over 90% of recruiters that reach out to me are for contract only. Very rarely it's ever permanent, and a lot of times when I engage to listen about the opportunity, it's not near market value at all on the contract side. So, but it's like
Yeah.
90, at least 90% is contract related that I get contacted about.
It's nice you're getting some inbound though.
Yeah.
So it's contract, but I mean, doing something right, so,
Yeah.
but yes, there's been this influx of like getting contract opportunities when they're real, and a lot of times, sometimes they're not real, they're fake, they're trying to source information. And then also salaries have been reduced, from the past like 5 years, about like a 20-30% general reduction in salaries. Yeah.
So that's when it's like expectations are insanely high for,
Yeah.
like,
Power
low wage.
is at the employer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome.
Is this a policy?
Policy?
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah. There is like I think there's like a deep learning meetup over there, this is for career.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, I get it that it's tough. I wanna share a little bit about my career journey, more so like my search journey. So I don't know if y'all remember different times in the economy, but 2010 was also a very difficult time. 2009, 2010, 2011. I did everything I could, and still took me 2.5 years, almost 3 to get a job. I didn't know what I know now, but thousands of applications, tons of like first level networking, like going to the mentor, going to the old teacher and stuff. Didn't really expand that, but a lot of first level networking. Going on my old alumni board from grad school, actually getting accepted. I was like the youngest kid there. He's like, anyone have a job? He's like, no, but you want to donate money? And I was like, how am I gonna donate money? And it actually led to a couple offers. And I got 4 different job offers over that 2.5-3 year period. And sadly, they were all rescinded about a week before my start date. And this was my first experience of getting lost and getting demotivated and basically giving up. And so I know what it feels like to have what you think is going to be your career and have what you think is going to be like, and the thing that you're truly passionate about, just stripped away. And eventually, I ended up meeting the person that was going to hire me. I was actually bartending because I worked a bunch of part-time jobs during this time. And across from me was the ICU manager of a hospital. And I was in health policy. I never thought I'd work at a hospital. And I actually was trying to help a friend. And I was like, hey, you know, my ex at the time, my ex-girlfriend, girlfriend then at the time, was like, she's a nurse, she needs a job. And he's like, we're hiring. I go, great, I need a job too. And so he got me an interview. Sadly, the CEO at the time learned I was a bartender, and so they don't want someone that is a bartender employee. So that really hurt. But luckily he left, and a year later they called me back, and they hired me. Which is nuts, crazy. And that started my career in healthcare, which led to my career in leadership development. But during this time, I took advantage of being dejected, and I worked a bunch of odd jobs. I wrote a book and launched a business, which taught me how to basically run a service-based business. But it still was incredibly difficult. And applying for jobs does suck. So, I do think it sucks a little bit more now too, because why can't Workday parse a resume? Why do I have to create an account? Someone tell me this. So then in 2018, I pivoted careers, and again, it took me 2 years to find a job. It was difficult. I had no experience in this industry. I had a doctorate degree, but I didn't really have the qualifications to get people's attention. But luckily, I had that experience before, and so realized that like, oh, if I don't get lost along the way, it's easier for someone to find me. And so I stayed motivated. I took advantage of the opportunity. I was a little bit more relaxed, knowing that I would get a job eventually, and I grew a new business. And I worked a bunch of odd jobs. And during this time, though, I actually was able to just explore without fear, because I realized that if I had enough money to pay my bills, I knew the things I needed to do to get a position. Despite the fact that I was pivoting industries, I could make it work. Oh, hello, 2023. This was fun. I don't know, we're still kind of experiencing this, but there were a ton of layoffs. And I got reached out to basically work at a life sciences manufacturer in California. So about a year and a half, I was flying out. I created a department. I was running my business. I had a team, and it was beautiful. And then, I don't know if you know, but life sciences lost all its funding, basically. Like, it just dropped off the face of the earth, like a lot of the industries. And I was like, oh. It was funny, I remember the meeting too. I walked into my one-on-one with the boss because I was on site at the time. I was very excited. I said, we are closing on a house next week. It's amazing. And she goes, that's great. I'm sorry to let you know, but we have to let you go. It's like, why did you make me fly out? Why am I here? But I know a lot more now than I knew then, and it took 2 months. And so there are strategies that you can implement to get you seen, to get out of the clutter of all of the systems that are being used, and get hired. So I've been there, I've done that, and I'm here to hopefully share with you how to do that for yourself. If you're in the job search right now and you're feeling demotivated, just know that this is an opportunity for you to truly learn. Hi, welcome. Good to see you. To learn how to never have to worry about this process again. So a lot of people in their job search, they're kind of like on autopilot. Apply to jobs, maybe attend a networking event, but they're not like, what are you learning right now to stand out from everybody else? What relationships are you building right now to ensure that if you ever lose a job again, that all of a sudden now you have people you can contact? Not your first connections, but your second, your third, your fourth connections. So who can you give to now? What skills can you learn? How do you make this period of time actually valuable to you instead of just searching for a job and being scared? And I don't know what it is for you, but there is something there that could be truly important for not just today, but for your future career. Okay, so it really does suck. What are the facts? Any questions right now?
Keep on going.
Okay, we're almost there. So, some recent facts. I actually just heard some of these on LinkedIn because they have a pretty cool podcast that they release, and generally there's some anchors that kind of share updated job statistics. We are 3 times less likely to get hired for a role today than 3 years ago. Fact. There are 70% more applicants for every job. Fact. On cold applications, if you don't know anyone, if you're just sending in a resume, 0.05 to 2% of hit rate for an initial screening. So if you're like, Ben, I can't get a job, like, how many applications have you sent out? 10. Okay, times that by 10, and you might get an interview. And that's, it like, part of me like really shrivels up inside when I hear that, but part of me goes, oh, now that I know that, I kind of feel a little bit better. Because maybe it isn't me, maybe it's just currently the situations that we're in. And now that I know that I have to 100, 150, or 200, I have a new strategy. I'm not reading through every single application as deeply. I'm not disqualifying myself from applying because it says must have this experience. And I'm sorry, you're getting a bunch more resumes, I get it. But we have to increase our quantity. We'll talk about that. One of the really interesting statistics is that online right now, remote jobs have dropped dramatically. I don't know if you've noticed that, job seekers. We're almost at the rates of pre-COVID. So employers, and this is just fully remote, so there still are a lot of hybrid opportunities, but if you're looking for a fully remote role right now, generally that's going to be specific to industry and also just a lot more competitive, which is okay. Just good to know as we search. 20 to 30% of jobs are still hired through an online application. So don't worry, those 0.05 to 2%, people are still getting hired from that. It's just not the bulk of people that are being hired. And most of hiring right now is coming from like that second, third, fourth networking. Either from a recruiter that knows somebody, where they're directly sourcing, or where someone talks to a hiring manager or skill level manager or a friend, they're like, we could use you, and they bring them in, or if they know we're hiring, they bring them in. And that's just, again, fact. So if I know that, where should most of my time and energy be spent? Networking, meeting people that are new. I should still apply for jobs that maybe you don't care so much about it, like put on a show and then apply. Hire someone to do it for you, which there are services now where people are like applying for jobs. They're not good. I know you're getting excited. They're terrible. I've tried a lot of them. Okay. So, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I have a question, which,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but, you know, I see stuff like this. I know what my experience has been personally, I've talked to other people. You see something like this and you think, we must be like just in the worst recession ever, and yet somehow the unemployment rate is relatively low. So what is, I guess, what's going on with regards to the number of people that I perceive as looking for jobs, and yet there seems to be, we seem to be in a pretty good place, at least currently, with the employment rate.
Well, if we believe the rate that we're provided.
Sure.
But the rate also is in all industry encompassing. At the same time, depending on the level of work that you're looking for and the type of work, that has now changed dramatically, where mid-level managers or directors or senior director positions, as well as certain industries, have now kind of condensed pretty hard. I don't know if anyone else has any insight here. Open forum.
I would agree with that. There's been a lot of flattening. Like, I don't need a bunch of middle managers, but I do need people that have more senior skills and can help run teams and coach teams. And when I was in the job market, that was something that I noticed as well. That middle level is just
It's disappearing. Okay, despite all these facts, I shared with you my story about the years of trying to find a job. The situation is the same. There generally are three main problems that you're trying to solve when you're looking for a job. You don't know what you want to do. How many people don't know what they want to do? Awesome. Win. Go to stage 2. How many people know what they want but not getting interviews? Okay, lots of people. How many people are getting interviews but not getting hired? Okay. What's not on this list? What other problems people have? Anything?
Just like talking, not even just the interview, just like getting like a human to respond, whether that's email or just an initial chat or something,
Yeah.
not even a.
Like regarding the position that you're seeing, or just in
Yeah.
general? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it's, I think that's really hard, cause you're just like, I'm sending things into the void.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're gonna hopefully decrease that void a little bit.
Great.
Yeah. It's there.
Need the tips.
It's still there.
Tips and tricks.
The trick is to like load the void up so much with stuff that eventually it like gets snagged on something and you get it home.
Great.
It's not just that, there's other tips. So basically though, I wanted to share kind of 3 tips for each of these questions, but if everyone knows what they want to do, then I'm gonna move on. Unless you want to hear.
Can you read that, because I can't see that far.
Yeah, so this is just, if you don't know what you want to do, this is one of my favorite things for someone that is lacking career clarity. And basically, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, quick exercise, 5 to 10 clones. You now have 5 to 10 opportunities for jobs. Awesome. What do they do? And basically, you can build a kind of assessment tool broken down into 5 different columns. One, how interesting is it? How meaningful does it feel? Do I have the skills to do this? Do I have a network aligned in this industry? And is it going to meet my financial needs? And then you can rate each of those columns with your clone, and then prioritize your efforts based on those results. Because generally, people do know what they want to do, they're just afraid of either failing or starting over. And if you can get a little free of the fact that you're going to lose something, and instead realize that your career actually is a multitude of jobs, and that involves maybe changing careers. I've done it 3 or 4 times already. very real. It takes about 2-3 years to transition. But look, then it takes only about 2 or 3 years to actually make yourself successful in that industry. But then you just test out each of those different clones. You actually go out, maybe connect with people, shadow someone doing the job, go do a part-time job, go attend events for the industry itself, and generally that will give you enough information to actually see if you want to invest further in it. And we'll have a copy of all these slides too.
Oh, okay, great.
I went through this really quick because I didn't think it was relevant to the group. Good? Cool. Okay. So my favorite tip, and we'll have more, but if you are not getting interviews, you're not even getting a conversation, basically what we need to do is focus on 2 things. We need to focus on your brand, you got to focus on your network, and then what we have to do after that is just multitude your efforts in as simple a way as possible, so you're not getting demotivated or exhausted. So how many people here use ChatGPT for the resume? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Off you too. How many people here take about 3 to 5 job descriptions that they see online, throw them into ChatGPT, the resume, and go align my resume to these job descriptions? Bam, bam, bam.
You swooped also?
Yeah, there are other tools like Teal, Swooped. You might see some job postings for Swooped. I don't know how real they are because I think they're trying potentially, like a lot of these companies might try to actually promote their services, but they can be good.
Yeah, the job search tool is Swooped in particular is not really, the board, that's not really that good. I use that once I, network with someone within the, like we're a recruiter within the company that I'm applying for, and that's what takes a little bit more time, but I get more, I get a higher percentage than just sending a resume.
Yeah, awesome. Try not to trust the AI scores. Those aren't really relevant. They're counting the wrong words. But I would highly recommend throwing in 3 to 5 job descriptions. You can even ask ChatGPT like what are the 10 repeated skills or phrases consistently in these job descriptions. Then you can then align your resume bullets. You can ask it to align your resume bullets. And then generally, if you are applying to related jobs, so when I say related jobs, they have to have a similar job title. So if you're looking for like a director of engineering job, don't use that resume for a engineering operations manager. It's going to be different. So generally, you have to match the keyword title to the keyword on your resume and your summary, etc., and make sure if you are building your resumes with AI that you're doing that. It's basically creating a resume for different major job titles. You can also, so then after we have your resume, we have to multiply your momentum. How many people here use a tool that autofills in applications for them? So which one do you like to use?
Well, I use a password safe that has stuff that just fills in all kinds of stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's because it remembers it, right?
I fill out a form and the form populates by XML.
Awesome. Yeah. So another tool is simplify.jobs. There's a couple of them out there. It's free. It's an extension on Chrome. You load a profile, basically put your resume, put your information, your demographic information, and then most applications, not all of them, they pop up. It goes, would you like to fill out this form? You click yes, and it fills out the application for you. Saves you a lot of time. Workday, still got to create an account, but it'll fill out all your information. You got to make sure some of these companies now are doing like a what's 4 + 3, so you just got to make sure that those questions are properly answered because they are getting a lot of influx of AI job applications. So then once you have a brand, once you decrease the amount of effort it takes to apply for a job, you got to build up your momentum, and we can talk about this in the AMA, but basically the relationships that you need to build are with hiring managers and skip level managers. Peers are okay, but imagine if you had an army of your future boss as your friends, as your relationships. If you lost your job, then 2 years from now, those people keep moving up in their career. So now all of a sudden you still have relationships with your future boss that you can lean on and potentially get the next job.
Sorry, what is skip levels?
Manager's manager. So if your next boss is going to be a director of, I don't know, project management, then you want to connect with a VP of project management or a chief project officer, etc., or a director of PMO. Is that right? VP of project management office.
Sure.
We're going with it. Okay. Moving, because I know you have some actual questions. This is my favorite. How many people use ChatGPT for interview prep? Cool. Use a voice function?
Didn't know it had a voice function.
We're gonna have some fun for a second. We're just gonna take a look at ChatGPT. If it loads. Hey, how's it going? I'm interviewing for a leadership development director job at a life sciences manufacturer, and I need you to act like a recruiter and ask me the top 10 most asked interview questions, and then rate my responses and give me some tips. How's that sound?
Hey, that sounds exciting. Let's dive in. First question, can you tell me about a time you led a team through a significant change?
So cool, and it's actually really good. And so even better, you can take the job description, throw it in there, and then be like, search the web for any like major interview questions that this company asks, blah, 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 and act like a recruiter and ask me questions. Act like my future boss, ask me questions. Act like a peer, ask me questions. And then you can just talk to it, and it's gonna give you advice. It's amazing.
Is that the paid version?
Ooh. I do subscribe for the voice option. I don't know if the voice option is on the non-paid.
Okay.
I'd have to check. It's about $20 a month, but also you can use the text feature too.
Okay.
There's also a free, I haven't used it yet. I recently found out that there's like a free AI version. It's not ChatGPT, but it's a different system, and it'll
Talk to you?
talk to you and do like
Is
a
it-
full interview and then give you the tips.
Is it DeepSeek, or is it more of an interview specific one?
It's an interview specific one.
Cool. As you look that up,
Yeah.
the other thing that people aren't doing is recording their interviews. Cover your ears.
It's okay. So current state, meaning for recording.
So someone is, you're on interviews on Zoom, put your phone up, put the record thing on it, record. Why? Because you can get the transcript, and then you can throw it in ChatGPT and say, rate me, give me advice. The other thing you can do too is listen to yourself. I 100%, if you've never listened to yourself interview, you are missing out on the best information. It's hard, because you're like, shh, like, did I say that? Did I really say that? But it's the only way to learn. And it sounds like a lot of work. It really does sound like a lot of work. But most, like, if you are getting actually selected, you've beat out hundreds, maybe even thousands of people for a job, show up, like, prepare, do the work. And this is kind of, it's like, once you do this once or twice, you actually hear what's happening, and any sort of nervous tics that you have, or the things that you say that aren't really right, you won't do it again. It's that impactful.
So the AI system is called Speako, and it's a speech coach. So it's kind of for public speaking, but you
Yeah.
can, it will grab your filler words and help you be a little bit more eloquent.
Everyone hear that?
Just
Speak,
speak.
speak, oh.
Speak O. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, remember, this is like the big one. Always remember, the only way to not get a job is to stop looking for a job. And you might see that and be like, of course. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that did not sign up for services because they're like, it's too expensive, I can't do it, and I get it, it's a big investment. And then I follow up with them like 3 months later, and they're like, I gave up. I'm just gonna take some time off. I'm gonna go work for my parents' company. I'm gonna start this contracting thing. I'm just gonna stay at home. I'm gonna early retire. Which, okay, I get it. But then you're guaranteeing you're not gonna get a job. And if you keep looking, and then if you treat every problem as a potential, like, as something to learn, and believe that there's a solution, then if you're getting interviews, not getting hired, great, you have an interview problem. If you're not getting interviews, you have a branding problem, or a networking problem. If you're getting to the final round and not getting selected, then there's something missing critically about proving to the person that you can do the job because they think you're too risky. Or maybe there's a background check problem. So every time that something is causing you to stop, it's just a problem. We can solve it. And there's people that know answers to those problems. And there's resources online you can use. Okay, your turn. Let's ask some questions. And we'll take a break. If nobody wants to, does everyone feel comfortable to share their questions? Or do you want some anonymous questions? Raise your hand if you want. It's gonna be funny. Raise your hand. I think we're intimate enough. Maybe? Okay. This is like an anonymous tool. We don't have to use it. Okay. Let's do the job market AMA before we take a break.
You wanted someone to ask you the ATS question, so I am asking
Thank you.
the ATS question because they infuriate me.
Yes. Okay. So there are probably companies out there that are pre-scoring resumes and throwing them in the trash. I don't know. I know there might be some, but I don't know. There are some tools that like will say not a fit, etc. But like everything I know about companies, and I help them screen applicants. I have a huge network in the job world. There's always an entry-level recruiter or some sort of recruiter or some sort of hiring manager opening a resume up if it gets looked at. The problem is they get such a flood of resumes and applicants that your resume is not always getting looked at. That's the problem. And so yes, you could have a branding issue that's not meeting the initial qualifications, but generally that's when they ask things in the beginning, like, do you have engineering experience? I don't know why I keep selecting engineering. And you're like, no. So then you go into the throughout pile. And I love a perspective from a hirer. And feel free to disagree.
So, well, I'm probably a weird one. I do look at every single resume that the hiring folks in HR push into my queue. And I see some doozies. But anyways, with that said, I remember when it comes to the ATS, you all, I don't know what you did, but it was with the formatting of my resume that made it ATS friendly.
Yes.
And I have noticed that in so many applicants, it's not whatever the ATS friendly is. And so I may be asking for 8 years of experience in something, but they have formatted it in such a way that it's reflecting as 5, and then
Yes.
bottom of the pile you go.
So to that point, thank you for bringing that up. If your resume has like tables, can't read it. If your resume doesn't have isn't explicitly easy to read, probably not going to get selected. You have a bunch of colors, a bunch of pictures, probably not going to get selected. A very text, simple-based resume with proper sections is going to be read by these systems, etc. But like the individual words that aren't main keywords generally aren't going to impact your resume. And I think we're just in a market where it feels like we're throwing our resume down a black hole because there are so many applicants and maybe we're not even being looked at, or maybe our resume isn't properly branded or formatted for the specific job that we're applying to. Yeah. And it's infuriating. No, it's infuriating. One of the next launchpads, meetups, and please use the free resume critique from Let's See Grandma. I don't know if you've used their system.
I can't afford it.
No, they have a free critique.
Oh, okay, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so please use the free critique because they give some really good advice. One of the next launchpads, I'll just come in and I'll set aside a 30-minute window and do some free resume and LinkedIn audits. So I'll make sure that we do that. Yeah.
LinkedIn question. You know how LinkedIn profile question. You know how resume is supposed to be 1 page, 2 pages max because it's a resume, it's quick, right? But for a LinkedIn profile, is it okay? Is it a good idea instead of a really small bulletized, but make it more of a CV, more detailed, like your whole life's work in there? Or should it also be a resume format?
Good question. Awesome question. I'm going to add on to the first part. The 1 2-page resume, if you have over 10 years of experience, it's a myth. People used to print out resumes and hand them to people. So it had to be 1 page, it had to be 2 pages. If you have a decent amount of experience now, feel free to go to 3. 4 is kind of pushing it a little bit, but 3 is more than okay. And they're generally not going to look that far. They're generally going to look at your summary and then your first 2 jobs to see if you're going to get screened. And then if you get screened, they might look at more of it. I personally will interview still, and I'm surprised that people don't even read my resume sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm going to answer the other part of this question, though, won't you? Questions on that before I move to the LinkedIn piece? Okay. LinkedIn is your free billboard. It's your free it's your free website, actually. It's like you might pay for premium. I do suggest that. but it generally is a free place for you to advertise yourself. Put as much information on there as possible that aligns with the job you're trying to get. So if you have a bunch of old jobs that are like entry level, it maybe minimize the bullets or make those bullets relevant as much as possible to the job that you want now. Because it still SEOs your profile. And so yes, you can have like head of strategy or whatever at the top and as your top job. But depending on like search results and like inbound requests, you want to try to orient your LinkedIn profile to magnify, to emphasize kind of the more experience that you like the more senior experience that you want to get. So bullets, headlines, the about section, make sure you fill that out. Make sure your titles relate as much as possible. Even your old titles, try to orient them a little bit more to keywords for the kind of current job that you're going for. But you don't want to skimp. Don't skimp on your LinkedIn profile. Some people say make it different, just put the job titles. You're missing out because it literally, if you think about a website, how does a website get picked in Google? There's keywords. It's loaded. There's more relevant information. Same thing with your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And make it visible if you're not. So, like some people's visibility settings, they don't know that they're actually hiding their profile. Yeah.
I've got a question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
You had a question real quick?
Yes, age discrimination is real. I was running into it 10 years ago on my last search, and I know I'm running into it now, primarily because the last position I had is not really relevant to the job, the kinds of jobs I'm looking for, which are the kinds of jobs I want to do, rather than what I ended up in. And so my relevant work experience doesn't even begin until 10 years ago.
Yeah, so.
And so I was running into age discrimination 10 years ago. So, it's lovely to have all of that extra stuff if you're under 40, but once you hit 40, and when you hit 60, 65.
So what are the things you can de-age your resume? If you can look that up, like how to de-age your resume.
Well, I don't have my year on my college, but you know, LinkedIn requires years and dates. Workday requires years and dates. It requires that information. So I can't.
So if you're looking for relevant experience, like if you were looking for experience that you've had from the past, and you don't have relevant experience for that now, it'd be very difficult to get picked out from the crowd. And generally, probably you're going to have to lean into the relationship building with people that are currently in the industry that you want to work in. Because I can't, when I think about trying to format a resume and a story to hit experience that's 10 years old, unless you do a non-chronological resume, which is going to probably confuse some people anyways, but like put that relevant experience at the top, move the stuff to the bottom, and put current professional experience kind of like lower down the resume.
Put all that relevant stuff in the summary.
Yeah, well, you probably would have to, because people are generally looking at the first job, they look at the summary to see if you have the keywords and jump to the first job. You might have to reorder the resume not too chronological. That'd be like my main advice right off the bat.
I was going towards the agency.
Yes.
Too, so
Yeah.
I just updated, like my LinkedIn, I took off the first job altogether.
Yeah, you can cut the bottom off.
And then,
Cut the bottom.
I just took it off altogether,
Yeah.
I shaved 8 years off of it.
Yeah. And in the summary, instead of saying over 20 years of experience, I generally do like over 15. Yeah. Over 15, take off the years for school, take off old jobs, and hope that people aren't, I want to swear, aren't terrible human beings. So, yeah.
I know.
A little bit of maybe like light in the tunnel of this conversation is I have a very good friend. He had his own business and he got reached out to, and he's 64 and he got hired to go back full time. He never thought he was going to do it again. There's an author and a kind of a thought leader in this space called Michael Clinton. He wrote a book called Roar, which is like going that second stage of your life. He has a lot of really great content on how to kind of combat this ageism and make the most of that next career. Other questions? Before we take a break. Okay, share the tip for interviewing, but it was at the bottom of the slide, I kind of skipped over it, but my number one tip for interviewing, other than prep, is to ask questions throughout the entire interview.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Can't tell you how many,
People don't do it.
they just wait to the end,
Yeah.
and then they have 5 minutes left,
Yeah.
and the interview's over, and the person has no idea what is relevant information for them in the interview. Well,
Yeah.
I'll share what that means.
Okay, so I've had the opposite problem, just because I love asking questions.
Yeah.
I've had interviews and they just ask me questions and don't leave any room, and then they're just like, okay, we're done. And like, it was like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, do I get to
I
ask
have
questions?
I have some questions for you. And it's,
Yeah.
like, I've run into that a couple of times. It's not obviously all the time, but every so often, and I think it's the strangest interaction.
It's not a good interviewer.
No.
Yeah.
You answer, and then you immediately ask your question
Yeah.
that's related. No, you should. What I'm saying is, you answer
Oh.
the interviewer's question,
Mhm.
and then you need to then ask something related,
Yeah.
but that gets you to what you're looking for.
Yeah,
And then that's how you stop an interviewer like that.
yeah, that's a good tip.
A few times also, like as part of a follow-up email, I'll ask a few questions, like I know we didn't get some time, but I had a few questions and one, it's just, like they'll follow back up, and two, it kind of reiterates interest in the role and, has them a reason to follow up with you. So I'll do that if, we're at the 35, 45 minute mark, and, I do have a few questions.
I was in the wrong.
Just to keep, the interaction until, potential next steps, so that's what I do.
Yeah, so we had, did you say ask questions during the
It's
interview?
like, just like immediately after I
Yeah,
ask.
Yeah.
so ask so there's questions that you have,
For sure.
but then there's questions that will give you more information about what they want.
Correct.
And we wanna ask questions about what they want. So if they ask you about a project that you led, or something about just your experience with work overall, your question back should be gaining more information what they're looking for. So I have, a variety of projects in that field that I could speak to. Is there a specific project that this team is gonna be launching in the coming year, or something that you're really looking for in terms of relevant experience that I can share? And you're getting more, basically, they give you a general question, and in that general question, they know what they are looking for in the back of their mind, but they're not telling you. That's unfair. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna ask you to just peel back that layer just a little bit to give me what you really want to know. And then from there, once you create the cadence of asking questions after they ask questions, to get clarity, they'll kind of expect it, and the whole dynamic of the interview might change.
Yeah, it's more conversational versus, you're put on trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. You have to now speak to the entire class. So the meetup. What's your name?
Shaw.
Shaw? Nice to meet you. Welcome, Shaw.
Welcome.
Woo! Alright. Do you have so you're just coming in at the AMA, where probably most people have additional questions about the break. Do you have, do you have any questions about the career world, job search, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm in the software quality assurance industry. And so right now I'm deciding, I know that my employer, I'm not getting my fair market value from my employer. But at the same time, I want to stay in the same company because I love what I do. So my action plan is go to the job market, get an offer letter, and ask my employer to match it.
Sorry.
Well, maybe you can do it. She hires, you have some hires. What is group? Convene. Share.
I
Talk.
immediately think you're going to leave me, and I am going to start making my backup plans even if I give you your number. I understand what you're saying, and what I would, if I'm you, I would be looking for a place I'm actually gonna move to, because if they don't value you when you're there, why are they ever going to value you seriously? That's my thing, but that's me personally.
But I'll catch up with you.
Anyone else have a viewpoint?
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like if they don't value you now, sure they can give you more money, but at the end of the day, they're still not gonna value you. And you need to feel valued wherever you go.
Or worse yet, you try this tactic and you go to them and they say, okay, fine, see ya.
Yeah.
Because if they don't value you now,
That's
then.
why I'm gonna wait for an offer letter.
Would you take the offer if there was more money on the table?
Would I take that?
Yeah, like would you consider taking the offer? I mean, that's another,
so I've heard people on both ends of this argument, and the only thing that you gotta be worried about is what you shared, is that generally if you come in with an offer, they're going to start planning to let you go. Like, they're gonna give you the money, maybe, but then all of a sudden now there might be some differences in terms of what people are making in the company, potentially. And they're gonna think you're more expensive than other people, and they're gonna be easy looking. And so all of a sudden now your job security might have decreased. That's like the only consequence potentially of the process. And then you say no to the offer. You potentially hurt a relationship from that company based on the interview process. And now you potentially hurt the relationship with your current employer. So
it's a lose-lose.
if you don't take the job,
Makes sense.
preferably you can have that conversation with your manager or your manager's manager about compensation rates and market rates, and say, this is what the market's paying, whatever make your story, whatever it is, and say, how do I get to this number here? Don't say I want this number. Say, how do we make this happen? What do I need to achieve? What do I need to prove? Who do I need to talk to? What relationships do I need to build? How long might this take? So you get more information instead of hurting the relationship or putting the fear in them. And then with that information, you go, okay, maybe I can find another job. So that would be like my.
I totally agree, and a good leader will answer those questions and be as transparent as possible with you. And a bad one you don't want to stick with.
Okay. But it's not, I need this now. It's, I'm noticing in the market that this is the rate. It means a lot to me because how can we work together to get to this number here? Whenever you're asking for something in an employer, if you can make it a partnership, generally you're gonna win.
How about I start a conversation with my manager by saying, I want to stay in this company and I see myself growing here, but to give you a good idea of my fair market value, I brought in an offer.
It's like the but. It's the hey, I want to stay here, but here's the gist. Instead of I was doing some exploring, or hey, I have a friend just got a job at blah 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 company. They're paying this much. Wow, that's like 30% more than we make here. Like, do you know how they choose salaries? And I'll be like, oh, I don't know. Can we go figure that out together? Can we figure out like how maybe to increase my scale at this company? Because if you go in with a I want to stay here, but it adds the same kind of conflict that is going to potentially make them think you're looking to leave, which is what we want to try to avoid, unless you're okay with it.
So a little trick from improv is anytime you want to say but, say and instead. Because it's the whole yes and a but will stop things, but an and keeps it open. Now you want to think through what you're saying beforehand, because sometimes that and is followed by things you don't want to
Oh,
end.
yeah, I'm gonna reverse it all.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, you want to be yes and in an adult to adult relationship, not a parent-child with you being the under. So you want to have an adult relationship with an adult and do a yes and to make your case and to have an adult conversation, which unfortunately I find that too many employers do not want to have adult conversations. They want to have power conversations. So we'll stop there.
You can also reverse it instead of ending it with but the market, but like you can end up with like but I want to stay here, like at the end of the sentence. That way they can see you're probably still with them. But it's still tricky though.
Yeah, avoiding the market comparisons, being able to say like, I'm interested in my career development here. It also includes like compensation increases. Like this is the number that I see. There's ways to say where you're joining the company instead of exiting the company. And I'm happy to talk more about this too. This brought up the budget though, this brought up the salary question. If you ever get asked, what do you want to make? It's like it's a terrible question. It's like, shoot. Like anything I say, like am I gonna exit myself out of this opportunity or am I gonna undercut myself? Always ask, I I need to learn a little bit more about this position, what's your current budget, period. And if they go, well, we can't share that, that's a lie, they have a budget. You can say, okay, well, when do you think you might know? When do you think you might be able to share that information? Or if they say, you don't know yet, you're like, well, I'm really interested in companies that are looking to hire pretty soon and immediately. Do you know when you might know when the budget is set? Just kind of have that conversation with them. They're going to share a number with you, and then all of a sudden now you've given yourself some questions to play with.
If they say, I like the example, if they say that we don't have the number yet, can I give an example of, according to LinkedIn and Glassdoor, a similar position ranges between?
Because then you're still, yes, but you're okay with that range, but you're still giving them information. The point of the what's the budget question is to limit the amount of information you're giving to an employer to kind of put you in a salary bucket. So basically, if they say we don't have that information yet, you're great. When do you think you might know? I'm happy to continue on in the interview process. I love the company. I don't want to discontinue this because you don't know how much you want to pay them. Great. I'll know next week. Or we won't know until we hire you. I don't think you're serious about hiring. Or we'll pay whatever. Awesome, $1 million. You make a joke. Really, like, what's realistically the range that you probably get approved for this? And most people will work with you if because like, yeah, I've never really had someone not be worked with that response. Okay, I've been talking way too long. Can we take a 5-10 minute break if you'd like? Stretch your legs, go to the restroom, grab some refreshments, and then we will close out the event after a little bit. We have some time. Cool. Sound good? Does anyone want to practice their public speaking skills and share a little bit about themselves when we come back from break? I just need 3 people if they're interested. 1, 2. 2's fine. Okay. 2 people, can you come up here, please? DJ? It's like not really presenting, it's just being in front of everybody. So basically this is like a media spotlight. It's a chance for you to share with everyone who you are. So quick, this is a tease. So tell me about yourself. That's the first thing. The second thing is what you're looking for. Looking for a job, whatever. And then so industry. Yeah. And then just encouragement, networking, do what you got. And something that you enjoy from